also did rights of passage.
And it's all done right from that location?
Yes, sir.
You have another location which is located on
Astor Place Southeast.
Astor Place. What's the address there?
5137 Astor Place Southeast,
What is-
Washington, D.C.
Okay. What exactly is it? Is it a standalone building, or how does it?
It is a apartment building, and it's a 4-unit complex that's attached to another 4-unit.
Is the building owned by Empowerment Center, or is it owned by you
The building is owned by me,
personally?
personally.
And so you have 3 tenants,
Yes.
and one office is used. One apartment is actually used for an office, as an office.
Yes, office, home occupancy.
How often are you there?
It varies. It could be twice a week. It varies based on what's going on.
Do you have any employees that go there?
I have staff going there. Yeah, they check in, drop off their materials, and because most of our work is out in the community. So we go to the schools, we go to detention centers, we go to homes. So we're out in the community.
How long have you owned that
I've
building?
owned this building since, I would say, July of 2000.
You
10
have
years. Almost
July
10
of
years.
2000.
Yes.
And how many people do you have? 3 people living there. Are any of them paying your rent?
No.
So you're saying you have 3 people who are renting from you, and none of them are paying rent.
Yes, I have
That's-
3 gentlemen who are renting from me.
Okay, let's start from the least egregious and work our way down to the most.
Okay.
You don't have to name names. We're just talking about situations so that we get an idea of what you're going through as not only a community servant, but as a property owner.
Right.
All right. You've had one guy that hadn't paid since when? Starting with the lease.
With the lease, I have one gentleman who hasn't paid, which is in apartment 2, hasn't paid since July of 2009.
How long has he been there?
He's been there about 2 years, 2.5 years.
Okay. Now we want to note that today is February the 28th, and he hasn't paid you in. Did he pay for July?
Yes.
So he hadn't paid August?
August, September, November, December, January, February.
So that's 6 months that he hasn't paid.
Right.
What's his rent?
$650.
$650. So you are out of $650 times 6.
Yes.
Okay, and that's just one guy.
This one guy.
What about the other? You have one that's upstairs. I understand he has some legalities that he's
Yes,
going through, and you're helping him
personal
out.
issues, yeah.
What's the story with him?
His story is...
Has he paid?
No.
When's the last time he paid you?
I would say in March of 2009.
March of 2009.
Yes.
So that's $650?
He pays $725.
He's paid $725 because of his location. Okay. You're saying that that's he paid in March, so it starts in April.
Right.
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So it's been 11 months since you've gotten any money out of him.
Right.
Nothing for 11 months.
Nothing.
So far you have 3 people living with you renting from you in this situation.
Right.
And you haven't received any money from 2 of them.
Right.
One of them 6 months and the other 11 months.
Right.
All right, now let's move on to the next guy. What's his story? I understand he's been there for how long?
He came in July of 2001. I had a lease signed by him and him only as the tenant. And the rent is $500, and he negotiated with me to do repairs, to make sure that the property was secure, things in operating condition, and as well as intercede if I needed an apartment open. At one time he had keys to all the apartments.
When did he move in and make this arrangement with you?
July 1st, 2001.
So July 1st, 2001, he was in a sense
I'm a property manager.
a property manager. And his job was to run the apartment, and in return for that, he got a reduction on his rent.
Correct.
How did that arrangement work out? In the beginning?
In the beginning, he did repairs. If things that he could not fix, he would call on my behalf and make sure they were done. Mind you, in his lease, which we'll get to later, and all the tenants as well, they're responsible for calling for repairs. They can call a repair person and have the repairs made. Have the repairs
At their
made.
expense?
No, at my expense. But at my expense.
So in other words, if I lived there and I had a broken sink,
Right.
I would call a contractor that I know,
Right.
and they would come over and fix it and bill you. Is that the way it works?
Right.
Okay. So you don't really know if it's legit, whether or not they're really having something done or not.
Yes, it could. I mean, I would have the receipt. I can make an inspection and make sure it was done.
Okay.
So
this tenant number 3
right.
has been in there since 2001, and he
Right.
paid well up until
the time I hired Phoenix Realty,
right.
which took over the management. I agreed with Phoenix Realty to allow this gentleman to continue to do minor repairs and to call for any assistance if it was beyond his expertise to do repairs. And it just fell through. I knew from the beginning it was going to be a problem. Because I was taking away Mr. B's sort of community power or building power, whatever you want to call it.
He objected to the fact that he no longer had the power.
Right.
He was no longer empowered.
Right.
Why did you go to that Phoenix?
Because I was starting to have problems with the tenants paying, not him, but other tenants paying, tenants paying on time, and I didn't have time to go to court. I didn't have time to deal with that. So I just got tired and hired Phoenix Realty, I would say about 2003, 2004.
And they started collecting on your behalf?
They started collecting the rent on my behalf.
How did that work out?
It worked out pretty well in the beginning with them. I had some issues with Mr. Harrington because I told him that initially I needed for him to contact and meet with the property management company to talk about his role in doing minor repairs for his rent reduction. And he never met with them. He had an appointment, he never showed. And the manager of Phoenix Realty told Mr. Harrington that he would need to do another lease, that the lease that I did was improper, that he wanted him to pay the money up front that was due, which was $500, and then based on the work he had done, he would get paid by Phoenix Realty. And Mr. Harrington refused to sign a new lease, and it just started a whole issue with those two entities battling back and forth, to the point where it ended up in court with lawyers, with him later refusing to, do repairs for the reduction of the rent because of the fact that he just protested the whole arrangement. And then the property management company learned that there was another individual living there, an adult over 18, not on the lease. And that was another issue that was brought up that the management company had concerns with. So these were two of the major issues that brought a eviction or a legal issue with the courts. And we were been battling back and forth, and it was repairs not being done, that we were going back and forth. He would show up and say this repair wasn't done, Mr. B or BH is his initials.
Well, let me ask you this before we go any further.
Yes.
You said that Phoenix tried to evict him when?
I would say around 2005, 2006, around that time frame.
Up until that time, how long had it been since he paid? I'm assuming that's part of the basis.
He was paying into the court, and then I was told later that the court released the money back to the tenant after back and forth of various issues about repairs.
What do you mean?
The court released the money back to the tenant.
Because the tenant said...
The tenant said the repairs weren't done.
What repairs?
It could be the sink, it could be issues with painting, issues about leakages, just things like that. That he actually was in agreement with me to do on his own apartment as well as the other apartments. So he just stopped doing the repairs and started complaining about repairs not being done.
Okay. So when he decided, or when the relationship got so bad that Phoenix showed up with an eviction notice, how many months had gone by since he had stopped paying as a result of the legality, the legalese?
I would say it started in about beginning of 2006. He stopped paying rent directly to Phoenix, and even after Phoenix Realty was closed, because they closed their doors.
Okay.
And
when did they close their doors?
I would say around 2007. The gentleman got ill.
Okay.
And
he closed his doors. So you haven't received any rent from this gentleman
for 4 years.
4 years.
Right.
And every time you try to evict him, what happens?
He would come up with repairs not being made.
So he would go to the courts, time and time again, and
Right.
say, I didn't pay the rent because she's not repairing the building.
Right.
This started in 2006, or 5 actually.
Really 5, yes.
2005. Do you have any paperwork to substantiate some of the things you're talking about? Because what I'm understanding that not only has this guy not paid any rent since 2006, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. So
Right.
here we are, 2000. So it's been over 4 years since this gentleman paid any rent at all.
Right.
In addition to not paying rent, you yourself have been fined because he has been claiming what?
Repairs not being done.
So what office does he go down to make this complaint?
DCRA.
What is that?
It is the District of Columbia Regulatory Affairs.
Regulatory affairs. So he
Yes.
goes down to them whenever the heat gets on him, and you try to evict him. He says, "Wait a minute, I'm going to circumvent this." He goes down to this legal affairs,
Right.
internal affairs, whatever this affairs office is,
Right.
right? And he says to them, the reason I'm not paying rent and I haven't paid rent is because they refuse to do the repairs."
Right.
What repairs are we talking about specifically?
Various repairs. It could be his sink. It could be a refrigerator.
Are you repairing it?
I have in the beginning. I did, and then I just decided to just stop.
Okay.
After the third refrigerator, I just stopped.
The third refrigerator? What do you mean?
I replaced a refrigerator 3 times. Well, 2 times. He had a refrigerator when he moved in, within less than 6 months, he said it was something wrong with it.
So this was back when he was still paying.
Yes.
He said there was something wrong with the refrigerator, and you put a new refrigerator in there.
Yes.
This was way back in 2003, somewhere in there.
Yes.
Okay. So when did you replaced it back then? When did you replace the second one?
The second one I replaced in 2007.
2007, after you tried to evict him again?
Yes.
You tried to evict him again, and he went down and says that you never replaced the refrigerator, or you put an old refrigerator in that didn't work. What did he say? What was the complaint?
It either failed to work. I can't remember the conditions of it, but it ended up I had to replace it because I was getting fines from the district.
So they fined you.
Yes.
You try to evict this guy because you're not getting any rent. He goes down to this organization, the government,
right,
and they in turn fine you.
Right.
How much did they fine you at that one time?
I would say maybe it could be $500. I don't have the I have the documents, but I can't pick them up right now.
Okay, we'll take a look at all that later. Make sure you have so you might get $500 here, $500 there, $500 another time. So
thousands of dollars.
How many thousands do you think off the top of your head?
I would say about $12,000.
You have paid $12,000, and this guy hadn't paid you in 5-6 years.
Yes.
4 years.
Right, 4 years.
4 years, and it has cost you $12,000 because this guy who refuses to pay you rent complains to the district, the government.
Right. Two things I want to remind you. He is getting reduced rent to do repairs that I'm getting fined on. That's one.
Okay.
Two, and then he's not paying his portion of the rent that he's due to pay me. Whether or not there's an agreement or not to Phoenix Realty at the time that they probably wanted to figure out and write up. They wanted to write it up. This is what he would do. And then based on that, he would get paid for the amount. So I was getting back then and current fined for an agreement that he made and even admitted in court that he was to do the repairs and for that reduce rent.
So when he was in court and he admitted to that, what did the judge say? The
judge said that you're responsible for paying the rent, and then which would be whatever the amount, $250, and she had nothing to do with that agreement.
She?
Yes. Yes.
Wait, who is she? The judge, you mean?
The judge, yes.
The judge said she had nothing to do with what?
With the arrangement that he and I made, although he admitted in court that he was supposed to do the repairs.
So why did she come down his side? Why did she say he deserved?
That's a real struggle for landowner, I would say property owners in the district that are small, not the corporation level. It is very tenant friendly, and the tenant is always right.
So you're in court in front of a judge, haven't received rent for 4 years from this guy.
Correct.
Not only you're not receiving rent, you're not getting the repairs done that was agreed to.
Right. And then he's complaining about repairs that he should do
and
to the district, and then I get fined.
And then the District of Columbia.
So not only I'm out of not receiving his rent, but I'm also getting fined by the district for repairs that he should do. And I've had contractors to go over work 2 or 3 times on things that have been done that he sabotaged and changed. It could be tile on the floor that he's lifted up intentionally, had the inspector to levy another infraction complaint against me, and have a contractor put the do the repairs, and then back again, it's lifted up. And then I get another infraction because the tiles have been lifted up.
Are these the same judge that's giving you these infractions, or more than one judge?
Inspector, I
Inspector.
would say, it's about the same inspector.
So the same inspector
Yeah.
is siding with him time in, time out.
Right.
What is that inspector's name, you know?
I will have to get them.
We'll look that up. Well, we'll look that up, and we'll also probably have their signature somewhere around here as well.
Yeah.
Some of their on their documentation. We'll make sure we get that
I'll
recorded
give you
as
an
well.
example.
Okay.
This is a receipt for this on the left is a receipt for the third refrigerator, brand new, purchased in July of 07. In August of 07, I get an infraction for the ceiling around the refrigerator being dislodged or not sealed properly. Brand new
You mean
refrigerator.
the ceiling on the seal,
Yes.
the ceiling on the refrigerator door?
The seal.
Oh,
yes.
the seal. Okay, on the refrigerator door.
Yes, the seal.
So a month after you bought a brand new one,
Yes,
he went down to the inspectors
yes,
and complained that the refrigerator seal was not working.
yes.
And-
And I had a contractor to go in to his apartment and show him that the seal it's like an overlap, and it's has to be tucked in, and obviously it was pulled away from it, and he tucked it back in. It's not supposed to be glued. It was supposed to be tucked in somehow in this fashion, and in order to make the proper seal. Again, it was dislodged. That same repair person decided to glue it, and he told this individual that if it's dislodged again, he knows he's intentionally removing it. And a new refrigerator, this is 2010, so it's about a year and a half, 2 years and a half. And if I showed you the pictures of the condition of that refrigerator, it looks over 10 years old. The door of the bottom part of the refrigerator is basically coming off the hinges. And that same repair person told me that the individual is putting his weight on the door, and it's coming off of the body of the refrigerator, and he repaired it. And that was the last time I had someone in there, and I'm getting fines for the same issue at this point.
They're still fining you?
Yes, I'm still getting fined. I think it's about $1,000. I'm not going to repair that. I want the gentleman out because he's sabotaging the repairs and the items in that apartment. The apartment was renovated twice. When he moved in it, it was fully renovated. The entire building was renovated. I had received a federal loan to have it rehabbed. So I received that loan, and with that, it was a HUD loan. Everything brand new. By the time it was 2006, getting these fines, things were getting, I would say, there were complaints about the condition, the sink, the bathroom, the flooring, various issues
From this one tenant?
from the one tenant.
Are you getting those kind of complaints from the other tenants?
No,
Are you getting any complaints from the other
No.
tenants? You're just not getting any money.
no money.
But
No
this-
complaints, but
No
no money.
complaints, no money. But this one tenant,
I'm getting multiple complaints to the point
when's the
where,
last time he complained?
I assume that this is February of 2010. That refrigerator that's brand new, that was one of the complaints. I have received a complaint about the grading outside of the building, as well as some other issues regarding there's a, like, outside of it, as far as how with the gutter system and how it flows out, and there were some complaints about dampness, and so I had it waterproofed on the outside, as well as some other issues that needed to be done. In August of 2007, I had the apartment painted and retiled. I refused to put wood or carpet in that apartment because he complained that there were, water damage, and so I felt that tile would be the best way to deal with the water damage, whatever may occur.
Did you see what he was talking about? The water damage?
No, I did not.
So, sight unseen, you had this repair work taken care of?
Yes.
So you can give me an itemized list of all the repairs you've done over the time this guy's been in this apartment?
Yes.
And you can also give me an itemized list of all the fines you've received?
Oh, yes, adequate.
Close to or over $12,000 worth
of repairs and fines.
Repairs and or fines.
Right.
Do you have the names of all the individuals from the DC government that we may contact? Because I'd like to get interviews with them as well.
Yes, that too. And since the time we did the painting and the work done, which was August of 2007, by May of 2008, the city made a determination to rehab that whole apartment in 2008. So it was less than 7 months between August was the repairs done, painting, flooring, even repairs to the sink that he complained it was leakage. That was August. Then in around May or June of 2008, the city rehabs the entire apartment.
What do you mean the city rehabbed the whole? What does that mean?
They enforced a rehab because of his complaints, and they painted. They put new.
Who did it?
The District of Columbia government.
DC government did the work?
Yes.
And then charged you?
Contract. Yeah, they charged me $9,000.
So they did the work. They decided that this work should have been done. Right. They did the work and then billed you.
Yes.
Is that a fine or a bill? What is that?
It's considered a fine because they put a lien on my property to get the money, and they got the money.
Wow, that's incredible. And this is
so they got whatever flooring they want. I think I was told through a neighbor that they were angry that I did not put wood flooring in their apartment. That's what they wanted. Mind you, he doesn't have a legal lease because he has another tenant in there, and then he's not doing repairs that he agreed to do to get the rent reduction.
And this problem is twofold. He's one issue. The other issue would be
the District of Columbia.
The District of Columbia. Have you talked to other property owners who experienced?
Yes. And some of their experiences are not close to this is egregious.
Right.
But they have experienced having to make repairs for tenants that aren't paying.